Hey there, Portia here. Welcome to another episode of Portia, Raw and Real, the podcast where we get to go a little deeper with some of the guests whose stories just really caught our attention on the Portia Show. I'm happy that two guests that we had talking about shifting careers, shifting and pivoting into your passion, also have some really interesting backstories that we did not get to touch on. So I am excited to have Rita Parker, woman who always wanted to be an actress, and the good doctor is here, Jeannie Jacobs, but she doesn't practice medicine anymore. So we still call her doc because she works very hard for that MD.
Yes.
But I love, before we get to your careers, how you went from payroll and delivering babies into something a little different. I want to hear these backstories. The love stories are always so interesting to me. I think as women, single, married, everybody has a story to tell, right? So I want to start with your love story. You've been married now for how long?
22 years.
22 years. You two met and just knew?
Just happened like that.
Tell me more. You just knew.
Well, I was training, completed my residency here at Grady.
Okay.
And so I'm the Atlanta girl, so I go to this little town in Louisiana to practice, and I said I needed to change, come out of the city. Let's go to a place where I would be, I could feel I really could help or make a difference. So during my interview process, I met my soon-to-be husband. I had no idea. I couldn't tell you what Joseph looked like. No, because I was interviewing. I was business.
Right, you were in the zone.
Business. I was like
was
worried
he
about surgeries.
One of the people doing the interview?
He was one of the young physicians in the hospital, actually in the ER, that they brought me to the ER to tour it and meet the director, and I met Joseph at the same time.
Wow.
But I couldn't tell you anything about him. I don't even know who he was.
Right. Was not on your radar. So
No.
how did the conversation go?
Hospital recruiter calls me a couple months after I signed my contract. She said, "Do you remember Dr. Hathorn?" And I'm Atlanta girl. I'm about to say, "Please," right? I don't know who that was.
Right.
So I played it off and say, "Oh, yeah, I do." So he ended up calling me a couple of times, and we talked. Still nothing. I was like, whatever.
So the recruiter was.
She was trying to.
She was the wing woman.
Exactly.
For Dr. Hathorn. I respect that. I respect that.
She was cloaking back there, and so I moved to Louisiana. We went on a date, just random date. My mother was with us, believe it or not.
You brought your mother on the date?
Well, because I was in a little small town, and my mom did not know who this guy was, but she's nosy. My mother's very nosy.
Okay,
she's
okay.
like, let me
We're
get
here for
down to
nosy
this,
moms.
right?
We're here for nosy moms.
Who's this young man that's calling up here, you know? I said, Mom, this is a random doc in the ER. I'm trying to be nice because I'm not going to get in trouble, I need all the cases coming out the ER for me,
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm thinking business,
You're thinking
right?
business, yes.
So my mother, we went on a date. My mother got sick, so he ends up taking her back to the house. I'm at the restaurant because I'm waiting for the food. So we talked a little bit, still nothing. But our really official date was like 2 weeks, maybe like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
16 hours. The entire neighborhood was watching because it's a small town, Louisiana.
What?
And like,
and everybody's looking at the town doc.
Like,
yes.
People peeking through their blinds. Like, okay, she's gonna stay because we're gonna get her married. That whole drama, right?
Yes.
16 hours playing basketball, just laughing, just hanging
You
out.
were playing basketball in his front yard because there's
in my front yard because I had my brand new house and it was in my house, and I was like, this is my basketball court, so I'm gonna beat you today. So I beat him in basketball and all kinds of stuff.
I
just
love
running
it.
up and down the street, just being silly.
And you guys were engaged.
Probably, but when he mentioned it like a few days after that, I was like, whatever. I'm an Atlanta girl, whatever. And it just, he just popped the question, like maybe, I guess say about 3 weeks after that.
What did your mama say?
My mom was all happy.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was happy. She's like, it's about time. I was like,
Got it. That mom.
my friends are like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, who is this nut?
Yeah.
So they were calling back and forth, talking to Joseph. Are you crazy? One of my girlfriends, she's like, are you crazy? What's your psych history? Wow. Who are your people?
Things physician friends ask. What's your psych history? Love it. Love it.
That's how we met.
And that's how many years now?
23 years. That's when we met, 20 years ago.
Wow, that is beautiful. I love it.
Got married and had this huge wedding and was in Southern Living Weddings magazine. And
oh, wow.
Oh,
history.
my goodness.
Kids almost 10 years into the marriage after that.
Oh, my goodness.
So we waited.
Right. Okay, so
waited.
you were... I do the math out loud. I won't say the age, but you were in your 40s.
I had my first child at 40.
Wow. That is beautiful.
So the last one, almost 43.
Nice. Okay, so you guys had a good amount of time together. Rita, your situation a little different on the intro, but you were married for a long time.
I was married 18 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then divorce happened.
Divorce happened,
Yeah.
and he went in the Air Force after we got married. My daughter was 5 months old when we met. She was a year old when we got married, and then we moved away, left DC, and toured the world.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's we understand. We all grow, right?
Yes.
It's good while it's good, and then
And we're great friends.
Oh, still to this
Yeah,
day?
he's his current wife is the same age as our oldest daughter, and they have 4 children the same age as our grandchildren. But they're fine.
They're fine. Everybody's fine with this, except the eyeballs that you can't see behind. Go and say what? But it's all good. It's all good. That's what we do as families, right?
Yes.
So you have then found yourself in this delightful dating space for women of a certain age where we're like,
Exactly.
in this mess. What's it like for you dating as a seasoned woman?
Dating? I haven't dated, and it's slim to no chances of me dating anywhere in Atlanta, as far as I can see. I've tried the online thing. I've tried all types of things. So now I just act and hang out with my family, and if I meet somebody, great. If not,
So you're open.
I am. I'm definitely open.
Gotcha. I understand. So I want to change gears, just because that's a whole other episode. Both of you have on both of them, right? Especially I need you to call your family and see if we can just get everybody on the show and have that conversation, because that's a whole fantastic Brady Bunch situation right there. Situation, as the kids say.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about why we brought you to the show initially, which was the boldness that it takes to be in one career and then say, you know what, this is good, but I've had enough, or this is not what I was planning to do. But I did it for a time to take care of babies. So for you, Rita, you were working. You wanted to be an actress when you were a little girl, right? Loved Shirley Temple, loved all the things. Lucille Ball, the whole nine. But you went off to college and had some babies.
Had a daughter, and so I put that on the back burner, raised my kids, and I did bodybuilding. I was active. I went bowling. I was in a couple of bowling leagues. I did what other military wives and and mothers do, traveling, because every time you go somewhere, you're meeting new people. So you're always a stranger, until you find your tribe there. But after the divorce, it was me and my daughters, and then I had grandchildren. So now I'm taking care of them or helping with the kids.
Right.
And
but you ended up going into a career in payroll, right? Because you were an accounting major, took the skills from that and used those skills
my
to
niche
get this
was
job.
Payroll, because I'm nosy.
You're nosy, and you like the numbers. You know the numbers.
The numbers and the people, they go together for me.
So I'm going to pause you right there. Doc, tell me about the decision to go from delivering babies for 20 years, a career you thoroughly enjoyed, to recognizing this ain't it. This ain't living. There's more.
I just had to do it. I just not want to end my life with a baby in my arms. I had more to give, and these gifts that I discovered I had, I'm like, I must have been crazy to think that medicine was all of that.
Wow.
I mean, really, I'm serious, because you can't define yourself as one thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just said and I jumped to it.
The next thing then was, what was when you, because you quit. We can't, I don't know how to show it in this setting. I haven't gotten that far yet. But you literally walked into the hospital one day and scrubs are coming off, everything's coming off, the mask is coming off, you put everything in the trash. It was truly symbolic of, I'm done with this chapter.
Exactly.
But you had done some planning beforehand.
Yeah, I did. Not necessarily, I didn't think I was going to quit, but planning was everything. In the back of my mind, I knew at some point in my life I was going to have to make a change, but I didn't know when and where. Mm. But again, going back to things like finances, my husband and I were pretty lucky. We were able to pay off our student loans really quickly. My husband paid his off in the first year. I paid mine off in 2 years.
After med school?
After med school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
we did.
Can we just pause on that for just a real quick? What kind did you, because we all know residents don't make a boatload of money right out the gate.
This is right after residency.
Yeah.
First couple years of being in private practice. We just committed to it.
Gotcha. And you didn't have children, so you were just really aggressive about not buying a whole bunch of other stuff. And knocking out the debt.
And where we lived in Louisiana, it was so small.
Cost of living.
I know. You can't go to the mall.
And plus all the nosy neighbors are looking at right. Gotcha. There wasn't a whole lot.
It was so busy for me. My practice just skyrocketed. I was like the only female in that area in Central Louisiana for years.
Oh, wow.
So we paid those loans off. And during that time, me starting a practice, being new, being naive, I had no clue how to start a practice, but I did it.
But you did it.
Did it anyway.
And thrived. But even I know in the show, one of the things you talked about was people saying, what are you thinking? What do you mean you're going to stop being done? Because everyone thinks it's the money, the prestige. Right. You've worked so hard.
Exactly.
How did you deal with all of those things? Did you feel any of those things?
I did initially, because you start as a physician, you tell the physician like, gosh, I'm tired. I think I need to do something else. I wish I could. They look at you like you're completely nuts.
Really?
So you don't have that avenue. I couldn't really talk to my colleagues about it because they start shunning you. Yeah. Or it's like, okay, she's not serious about medicine, so she don't need to do this.
She's not in the cool
doctor's
doctor's club anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I had to find people outside of medicine. Yeah. And I started talking to people who were attorneys. I started talking to people who were entrepreneurs. Just really broaden out my whole life. And it was the best thing ever. So I got to meet people I never thought who owned, these businesses who brought me in and said, hey, girl, you want to learn this? Let me show you this.
So you end up doing lifestyle candles and decorating, just all the other fun things that were going on in your life.
And it was not stressful. These are things that I enjoy. Yeah. And so it just shows on camera. Because, the whole social media thing, especially my age, is like, why are you doing that? That's not for you. You're not young. But no, it's a great tool to present stories, to tell people, like, this is how I live. This is what you can do. I hope you get inspired by what I do. Yeah. Take away those little points and use them for yourself to make your own life.
You mentioned the point about age, and one of the things that you said, Rita, in the show was that it's just never too late. And I'll never tell a lady's age, but you were very bold in your decision to reveal, which a lot of people don't like to do. Yeah. How much was just getting out of your own way about the fear of being a certain age a part of your shift and pivot?
Initially, I made sure that any role that I saw, I was a grandmother or I was somebody's older auntie or something. I only looked at roles that were older, and it wasn't until after I had been doing it for a couple of years, and people were saying, well, you don't look your age. You can do that. Funny story, on Saturday I was in a play and I ended up pregnant. Oh. In the play. Okay. And I said, I can't do that. Yeah. And she said, nobody knows.
Nobody knows how old you really are. And I'm still not going to say, but if you do, I'm not going to fight you. But what happened for you that kind of shoved you into the acting space that you finally wanted to be in? Because it was so unconventional. At a nursing home. I know. Tell that story.
I took my dad to the senior center every day for lunch, and I was the young one. I was 55, and they were like, you don't belong here. Yes, I do. It says you can come in at 55. So I was there, right? But there was a lady there who was a playwright after a couple of years of going and meeting everybody, and I was the young one. So can you come do this for me? And, and I was helping. I loved them. The seniors were so cool. Yes. And I did her play. And I was like,
and you did the play at the senior center?
Yes, at the senior center, multiple
times. Tough audience. Seniors can be a tough audience. They're going to look at you like that wasn't funny.
Or fall asleep.
Or fall asleep. There's that part. Oh my gosh. So you learn a lot about your gift in front of an audience full of seniors, but it was also what really kind of pushed you to keep going, right? Like you got the bug. You got to go back to the desire, I should say.
Because my parents were very much supportive of anything I wanted to do. They sent me to Barbizon. I took acting classes. I took piano lessons for years and years. So and DC is, it's a cultural, back then it was Chocolate City.
Yes.
But, the culture in DC is so open. They have the School of the Arts. So many stars have come out of there. And
Duke
I wanted to be that. But life happened. So I was just, it's never too late. I'm a late bloomer.
Late bloomer and a lovely bloomer.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about what it takes, though. You talked about some of the preparation financially, having planned strategically. Let's talk about how you got to change your mind, though, and get out of your own way, right? Because for both of you, there was some having to get out your own way.
And that's the hardest part. And that takes time. You have to be patient. People ask me, how do you change your mindset? What I did, I started doing things that I thought I liked or remembered doing things when I was younger that really, gave me my passion or made me smile. So I started doing those things. And the things that stuck, I stuck with it. The things that did not work for me, toss it aside. Don't waste time on those things. Okay. So that takes time. And when you find that thing or what it is, you get that clarity and purpose. So it leads you to other things.
Yeah.
And you start putting those steps to start, I don't know, it just start going. And
it
next thing you know, wow, here you are.
Yeah.
True.
What about for you?
For me, it was just doing something that, for me, that I could do for me, not for the kids, the grandkids, or anybody. It was something that I could do and show that I'm a viable person. I can still do something that makes me happy.
Yeah. Give me an example, both of you, of a really hard part of this new season of your lives. The problem and the solution. How did you solve it?
For me, not feeling that I had to be superwoman. And I went to Wellesley, so Wellesley women are super women, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to med school and you have to follow the program. You have to do everything perfectly. If you don't, the patient's going to die or somebody's going to sue you. You can't live that life. It'll destroy you. And that's when you get burnt out really quickly. So for me was, again, learning to let go. Life is not going to be perfect. It's going to do all kinds of things. It's what you make out of it, you know? And learning to delegate, that's a big one. You can't do it all by yourself. You got to have that help. So I'm still dealing with that.
Still learning it. It's still a learning process,
just one
right?
of those things.
Yeah.
For you, Rita, the problem and the solution.
For me, the problem was thinking I wasn't good enough to do any of the things.
That self-doubt. That woman in the mirror sometime will have us sitting right back down and second guessing everything, won't she?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a divorced woman. There are so many negatives, right? And even though payroll, I loved it, it didn't pay much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't making a lot of money. I wasn't doing anything that I felt was important other than going to work and taking care of my family. So I had to forgive myself for things that I felt were mistakes that I made as a younger woman.
Yeah.
I had to forgive myself for all of those things and step out on faith and say, hey, if God says it, I can do it.
That you could do it. But I hope that you gave yourself the grace and the pat on the back for doing the work of providing for a family, right? Yeah. Generations of. You took care of your children, then you took care of your parents.
Yes.
I hope that you hear the worth in that as well. Yeah. As we wrap up here, I want to talk about what is holding us back. Like, do you have friends who go, girl, I wish I could, but I just can't because? Have you heard that among?
All the time. I mean, of course, finances, support.
Definitely.
Like, if I do this, who's going to help me?
Right.
Children, you hear it all.
Because I'm sure, I have to imagine people say, well, but you have a husband, you and your husband are doing this, but that still doesn't negate someone else's ability to do it in a different space, right? True, what do you say to women who are like, I can't?
I tell people, and this is something I had to do first, figure out what you want and keep it to yourself. Don't tell everybody initially. Yeah. Just kind of look at some examples, look at role models, look at something that's going to drive you. Yeah. Write it down in a journal. Do affirmations. You know, let's say you want to jump out of a plane. I have a friend who says, I want to jump out of a plane.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't tell anyone, but she kept saying to herself, I'll sit there and visualize myself jumping out the plane, landing on the ground and cheering.
Yeah.
You know,
and that drop. There's nothing like the thrill of when you skydive and you just out. Oh my gosh. I just had a flashback to how much fun that was.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, visualize what you want.
Yeah.
And then piece together, put the plan together, do it on a vision board. Like, how do you get from point A to B to C? And it just flows.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
it does.
You don't talk yourself out of anything that way.
What do you tell your friends, especially when we think about the sister from, I want to say Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, Dorothy. She was 88.
Yes. It's
88 on that first role, and she had this regal role.
Yes.
You know, she didn't say a whole lot, but when she did, it really resonated with all of us.
Yeah.
What are the lessons from our Dorothys and our Ritas?
That it's truly never too late. If there's something that you want to do, don't waste time, because we can't get time back.
Yeah.
You can't go back and fix anything that you've done in the past or you haven't done. So you've got to start now and just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies, thank you for showing us how to go for it.
Thank you.
For being bold enough to go for it, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we can just get stuck.
Yes.
We can get stuck in the mud that we added the water
That's
to the
right.
dirt and made the mud and talking about, oh, I'm so stuck, I can't get out. So thank you for sharing your stories, your love stories, and your career stories. Oh, real quick, tell folks where they can find you on social media.
Well, you can find me at Jeannie Jacobs on Instagram.
And for somebody who wants to cast a woman who can still get pregnant, where they go?
Oh my God, RP Confidential on Instagram.
Love it. Thank you so much for watching Portia Raw and Real. Be sure to tune in to Portia weekdays on Fox stations in Atlanta, Orlando, and San Francisco, and weeknights on Fox Soul. And thank you for making the show the top performing show on Fox Soul as well. We'll see you next time on Portia.